Welcome. How you carry yourself at work is key. And in this video, I'll be sharing some tips with you as to how to carry yourself with so much confidence and gravitas, such that you are seen how you want to be seen at work. My name is Bukola. I am a career mentor and I am an inspirational speaker. I've also been in my career for over a decade and I am currently a manager with one of the big four firms in the UK. And I'll be sharing with you those tips you need right now to change how you're perceived at work. So come with me while we discuss this together. Now, the first thing I need you to do is to take yourself seriously. Take yourself seriously. Take your career seriously. Now, you see all those casual jokes, laughing at yourself in front of other people, sharing your ideas in those rooms, and at the same time saying, oh, don't listen to me because I don't know what I am talking about, or don't take this with a don't take this with a pinch of salt, or all those comments. You need to dial those down, right? And it takes you being intentional. You need to dial those down. Now, you can laugh at yourself, but in your own private space or probably amongst your friends. But when it comes to work, it is serious business. So when you get into that room and you're sharing your idea, the first thing you're telling them is to not take your idea seriously. Then they are not going to take that idea seriously. That is just how human psychology works, because if you put that, because you're trying to do that because you think that will help them not challenge you too much in case that idea is not perceived the way you want it to be perceived. But you should rather put your ideas forward and let people deal with it how they choose to deal with it, but do not be that person who discounts what you're saying. Okay, so do not all those casual jokes, all those things that demean you, reduces your value, and all those things that you say that makes it look like you are not on top of your game or you don't know what you're talking about. You should stop doing those, or at the minimum dial them down. Okay. The next thing I'm going to say to you is please maintain emotional control. Now, especially if you're like me, for instance, I find it so difficult to manage how my face passes on what my mind is thinking. I had to do a lot of work to make sure that that is reduced to the barest minimum. When I am disappointed, you see it on my face. When I am not happy, you see it on my face. When I am happy, you see it on my face. But a time came in my career when I started thinking and I started realizing that is going to give me away as someone who has no discipline. And people see discipline from the perspective of you just showing up, walking and all of that. There is also discipline when it comes to how you maintain your demeanor and how you can accept things, process them before coming back with your response. So a lot of us are used to just reacting to things and almost immediately, without even seeing the full picture, without having all of the information, you just show your displeasure, you show your happiness, you're too happy or you're too sad or you're too disappointed or you're too frustrated. You need to change that. Now, for you to be able to change that, this is it. Intentionally, when you go into meetings, you say to yourself, I'm going into this meeting and nobody will be able to read me except I choose for them to be able to read me. Now, except I decide that you can read me, you will not be able to read me. You will say that to yourself. When you get into that meeting, when people are saying things that you don't like, your face is straight. You're not smiling, you're not angry, you just maintain that facial expression that is just straight. You like people can't read, you relax. Maintain it, because when you do that, right, people can't read you, so they don't know the next response to give you. When they see, for instance, that you're disappointed, they may go the route, they may start becoming defensive and trying to justify their stance, and as a result of that, you may begin to see a bit of awkwardness. But if you are not showing any emotions, you're retaining the power, because people will not be thinking, I don't know if she likes this thing I said or if it doesn't like it. You need to learn how to maintain emotional control. The best one is for you to have that face that no one can read. Let me tell you why this is also important. Now, you may be right there in the meeting or during that conversation, you may feel disappointment. But once you leave that meeting and you have fuller information, you may begin to have empathy towards that person or towards that situation, and your thoughts may change about it. Now, because in the meeting, nobody could read how you're thinking about it, if you then change your mind later, it is easy to communicate how you feel. Now, you need to get to a point that what you write out, what you say out, are the things people can explain, not necessarily your face. Because once they can't read your face, they can start conjuring things together that would affect you. So, big on emotional control at work. Very big on that. The next thing I'm going to say is stop talking too much. Stop talking too much. And I think a lot of people talk too much from the perspective of explaining themselves. You do not need to explain yourself too much. You do not need to be clear, be brief. If you want to share an idea, think it through before sharing it. Okay? And it is okay if it's not fully formed, but have that first bit of, these are the things I'm thinking about. This is the conclusion I have reached, and that is where I am. Okay, don't go into the rabbit hole of trying to explain this, explain that, explain, like too much explanation. Nobody is going to take you seriously. So at work, you need to learn to be brief in your conversation and extremely clear where you're getting at. In fact, get into the habit of saying your conclusion first. This is my point of view. This is why. And, stop talking. Now, the reason why that is important is because in the process of over-explaining yourself, you may be eating into territories you shouldn't be eating. And you may be saying things that may be impacting other interests in that room. So go straight to the point, say what you want to say, and don't feel the urge to over-explain yourself. Okay? The next thing I'm going to say to you is build that confident posture. It is so key for you to build that confident posture. Someone was talking to me, someone I've always dealt with on the floor, but I'll always see them, hi. A time came after a couple of months that I've known them on the floor at work. They just said to me, like, I didn't realize you're not an SM. I didn't realize you're a manager. I'm like, why would you say that? Or why would you think that? And they were like, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, the way you're so confident. When we go into the kitchen area, when you're talking, like, you're so clear, you're not hiding, you're very vocal, the way you carry yourself when you're coming. I get what they're saying, and that is basically, I dress well to work, I carry myself from the ground. Some people slouching, they can't fill their space, they drag their feet on the floor. Don't do that. Carry yourself with the intentionality that you are a leader, and if you are approaching someone, you are approaching them with a lot of confidence. This is key. So I need you to carry yourself with so much grace. Okay, when you're walking, look people in the eye. When you're approaching them, have a conversation with them. Share freely, speak out, speak loudly even. Speak loudly, have a conversation that people can hear. Not people telling you, speak up, I didn't get what you said. No, you're not going to be doing that. So dress well, carry yourself with so much grace, lift yourself off of the floor and approach people eyes on the prize. Okay? Now, the next thing, if you want to build gravitas into your brand at work, is to make sure that you are present in every interaction. When people approach you, stop what you're doing, focus on them, and talk to them. Okay, if you can't make the time to talk to them in the moment, be clear to say, I am absolutely trying to get this piece of work done and I don't want to break the flow. Can I talk to you once I'm done with this task? It's better than you saying on your laptop, working and letting them speak to the back of your head. So it is important that you listen in and be genuinely in the moment at work. You build trust that way. People trust that when they approach you, you give them time either to say, book in some other time with me so we can talk about it, or I won't be able to, attend to you right now, but I will be able to do it later. Okay? Now, the next thing I want you to do is to speak with the intention to persuade others to act. So treat every conversation like a sales pitch. So you're trying to sell an idea. So for instance, you're a manager like myself and you're trying to build your team, and you absolutely need to be having a conversation around the people you want, the grades, the kind of skills they have that will suit what you're going to be doing on that project, right? When you're having a conversation with a director, with a partner, with an MD, with a GM, with a vice president, whoever it is you're having that conversation, go as though you are trying to sell to them. So go with the fact that I am going to influence them to do what I want them to do. And how do you do that? You will go and say, this is what I want, but why do I want it? And why do I think they would approve of this happening? Those are the questions that you do need to ask and yourself and prepare for that conversation. So every conversation you go to, you are preparing for those conversations. The next thing I'm going to say is this, which is so basic, so fundamental, and the minimum entry requirement is that you own your expertise and you are good at what you do. There is no amount of gravitas, there is no amount of confidence, there is no amount of you dressing well that is going to excuse you from being technically solid at the work that you do. So you need to build expertise and you need to continue to read about the work that you do. If you're brilliant at your work, it will even make you showing up confidently easier. Okay, so think about that and continue to build on those skills that you need to be a leader and that you need to continue to sell yourself at your workplace. So continue to build those expertise. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to say to you is this: what you bring to the table is valuable. You need to understand that. You need to live it. You need to understand it. What I bring to the table is unique. What I bring to the table is diverse. What I bring to the table is important. What I bring to the table is life. What I bring to the table is energy. What I bring to the table is solution. You must continue to say all of those things to yourself. You must live it. You must believe it. And you must express it. Now, when you're talking, again, like I said before, brief, clear, concise, direct. Know where you're going. Nobody should be saying, oh, maybe she means this, or maybe she means that. It is clear what you're saying. And when you're bringing value on board as well, you do know that you're bringing value on board, so you understand it. So when you put it on the table and people start deliberating on it or trying to see if it works or it doesn't work, you already know. You have that internal conviction that you are solution and you are the difference and you have brought yourself to the table. So leave them to do whatever it is they need to do. Do not over explain yourself. Just continue to live that reality that you have brought solution on board. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure that you share, you like, you comment on this video. And make sure that you stay tuned, turn on the post notifications, subscribe to this channel. Many more videos like this are coming your way to help you build that professional brand at work that you will absolutely love, and also videos that will help you turn your career around. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.